Okay, I think we're back. Sorry, I wasn't feeling so well over the weekend. It's getting over a bit of a bug, so didn't have a stream yesterday as promised. I was taking it easy. Kind of hard to concentrate on stuff when you're not feeling well. But I wanted to address a question that came up on Discord. So let's just go back up here. One of our questions that we got was something that I mentioned in one of the podcasts, and that's about lookup data. So I just zoom in on this for you. Oops, wrong thing here. This is our Discord chat. So one of the things that we talk about in event modeling, and event modeling obviously is what this channel is about. And this is essentially an event model. So one of the traits of an event in an event model is that you don't repeat unnecessary information in there. So if there's an event that already provided some information, some other type of event already provided that information, you don't repeat it here. So this is the only place kind of for dry in this type of approach of information systems. And so the question was, well, you know, if you're at, they're using a simple example here. Let's just read it together. I'm going to zoom in for you here. So basically it says that I'm talking about minimalist events, like shopping cart only has the ID of the product, but not the name. And there's lookup for getting, let me just zoom out a little bit so I can see everything. We still can't see everything. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Wrong key. Wrong key. So I zoomed into this, which is okay. I think we could have that, but then also we want to zoom into the screen. So that's this key combination. All right, there we go. Okay, so I hope you can read this. So yeah, and there is a lookup for getting the name of the product. So in other words, the question is, if in event sourcing you have you have what's called an idea that you don't repeat information in events. You do, however, repeat information in the projections. So this is a good question. How will this lookup info be? So let's go back to the example case. So if you have a cart, let's say a shopping cart on an e-commerce website, and the event is I'm adding such and such product to my cart, that event shouldn't have anything else in it except the quantity and the ID of the product. Those are the new pieces of information to the system. In other words, I don't have the name of the product in that event because that has already been defined somewhere else. So how will this lookup be filled in? So in other words, okay, if my events, every time I add something to the shopping cart, how do I now display the shopping cart with the appropriate information in it? Because when you go and look at your shopping cart, obviously you're not looking at product IDs, you're looking at the name, description, and maybe a picture of it, right? So where do you actually do this? How will this lookup be filled, right? What I think is that this lookup is a read model. Yes, it is a read. It is a read model, and it needs to be filled in by events. Yes, correct. That's how it has to work. So there is an idea that the world of a shopping cart for any clients, they have their own idea of the product names, and they repeat this information. Let's say that same information is also shown in your search results when you don't yet put a product into your cart. That product name is also shown in the management of your e-commerce site where you have the product name there. So each of these product names, though, are free to have their own variation. For example, you might have a shortened version when you're showing, a pop out of your cart, a float over or something. You don't want to have the full description. You look at some of the descriptions or names, they can be quite lengthy on Amazon and whatever. So there may be like a short name, or maybe some algorithm that shortens the name to something that's displayable with maybe some ellipses at the end. So each of these things can have its own interpretation of what the product name should be displayed like, right? It could even be some utilitarian things, such as composite keys for some automation to kind of do other things with the names. But it's really up to your imagination or your business capabilities as to what those things are. So, if this lookup is not a read model, then I have the following question. So this lookup is a read model, but it's not a different read model. In other words, there isn't a product name lookup that is shared by the projection of the cart, or the projection of a search result, or the projection of a product management screen by a product owner, right? So is it filled before generating the command? So this would assume that we're actually putting, we're putting this inside the command to generate the event with that. But I already said that we don't have this in the event. So best way to explain this is just to do an event model and show you in event modeling how this is done, right? So let's jump to a clear area here. We're going to reuse I'm going to do some live coding after this, but right now I've used this to show some other examples here, right? So I can take a little sample of our event model here, and just kind of gut it for what we need. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make a new area here. Paste here, okay, and just gonna rename some of this stuff. So I'm gonna keep some screens. We're not gonna use them, obviously. So let's say the first screen is product management, right? So product management. This is where you would change the name of management. This is where you would potentially change the name of your, update product name. And, we could have an ID of 1, 2, 3, 4, and we would have name. Let's just say we would have power supply, 30 watt. And that's it, right? We update the name of a product. Maybe I was thinking about this earlier, like why would you rename a product? Maybe the product has been successful and they want to sell some varieties. Like let's say this power supply was popular, but now they want to sell, they only had one that was 30 watts and now they were selling a 30 watt and a 40 watt. And they'd like that wattage to actually be represented in the name for whatever reason. So they're going to rename the generic one, product, update product name. So better, I hate this crud, right? So product name changed, or product name, product renamed. I think that's what it was, renamed. It's given a new name. We don't care what the old one was, right? So this is actually the name of the event. And this would be rename product, which is the command. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. So rename product is the command. Okay, so we have that. And, probably beforehand, somewhere in here, we had product added. And here we would have like the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would have the name, and it would say power supply because that's all we did is have the one power supply. And, you know, maybe the description was where we had 30 watt PS, right, power supply, and then of course I don't know, usually the pricing might be in a separate table on these like e-commerce things, but let's just say we're doing a stupidly simple e-commerce site where we just have everything kind of at the same time. We don't have any, you know, different pricing for different countries or whatever else you might have in a real world example. So just put a price in here of, you know, $20. So this is the stream of events that have happened. Now you have this product renamed here. And the reason I want to show this rename is because the product name has to kind of stay for certain things. So for example, if I add some extra time here in between and I say that I am a customer, so let's add another stream here, up here, sorry, another swim lane for customers. So here we go, product purchase, and you know, at some point we had this product added, and here product purchase for the customer, different swim lane up here for the customers and what they're doing. And so or checkout, right? I don't know, whatever. Checkout. And so in there, I would assume, you know, you would have, you know, this is one way of doing it, is that we would have product or invoice item added, and here we would have ID 1, 2, 3, 4, but we would also have the name, and I'll tell you why, and same with price. Probably description, right? Short description maybe, because it's like a one-liner for that line, or maybe even not. Maybe let's just say it's name. We'd have a price. Here we would have that. And of course you can see it with price. The price can change, but like your invoice has to stay, right? So we have invoice item added. Of course we need to have this would be the product ID. And of course you would have our invoice number, and it'd be, you know, 6789. And before that we would obviously have just the top level here. I mean, you don't really need to have it like this. You don't have to have a separate event for that. I mean, you could really lock this down to being quantity 2, and then tax stuff as well, but I'm not going to complicate this, but I want to show that we don't need to have an invoice item added. We can just have an invoice, and in the invoice we can have items, and in here we can have our collection of these things, and therefore we don't need the invoice number, right? We can simply, you know, move that up here, and so we don't have to have that, and this can be dash items, and of course all of this gets indented, show that it's part of this collection. You know, give a little square bracket around there to show that we can have more than that, and of course we can have more products if we want, comma, and add those in here. And of course, whatever the other product is, I don't care right now, but this is kind of how it gets captured. Notice that there's a snapshot of that. That's good. And so from that, we also have something like, if I copy this and put this here, we could have, let's see, the fill is this ugly green. Where's our ugly? Oh, I think it's that one. So here we have invoices, right? So we could have a projection that shows all our invoices that we've ever had. And I'm just setting this up so that you can see why we would want to not have extra information in the events. So invoices, we have this. And then obviously this is a collection. So the first invoice is that. And we don't have to label it even, right? We can just have that. And that would be actually, yeah, that's correct. So we have that, we have that. And then of course we have the closing bracket for our collections here. And this invoice also has this squiggly bracket, which is the object end, and we can have a different invoice following it, right? So again, just short that out. Okay, so the key point being is that this ends up populating this. So this one invoice that we generated here is now added to this invoice collection. So if someone goes looks at their invoice history, they see all these lists. So when a product is renamed, it doesn't affect this. There is no subscription to this past invoices by changing a product name, but there is for if someone has a current item in their basket and they haven't paid for it yet, then we do want to have that. And so we can have basket here. And if someone else has added this product before, obviously products, we have, collection in here of all the products they have. And in there, a good abstraction would be, for each product here, pardon me, just keep writing things like that. You would have ID of the product, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have quantity, and that would be 2, for example. And then of course they could have more things in there. ID 1, 2, 3, 5, and quantity 1. But they would also have the name, right? Power supply 30 watt. Make this a little bigger. Right, so they would have that, and here they would have name a desk lamp. And of course they would also have price and everything else in here, right? Price 20, and then line price, something like 40. And then you would have, and there's different reasons why you would have these pieces of information repeated here, and certain pieces not repeated. For example, a lot of online stores don't want you to look at the tax to scare you off that you're going to be paying more. So they give you the minimal information in the basket view, like, hey, here's your $5 lamp. Never mind the shipping costs, that's $20 to ship this, right? That happened a lot on Amazon. I'm not sure if it happens a lot more still to this day, but certain stores, you're like, oh, what a deal, you know, $5, but then like they hide it by saying that, but it's going to cost you $15 to ship. So it's like, well, I can just go down to the store and buy this for $17 right now. But that's kind of how they hook people. They hope not enough people notice as they're adding products that the shipping costs are adding up, and they're just going to pay. Maybe that was on eBay. Maybe eBay with auctions. That's what happened. Oh, thank you so much. So, okay. So anyway, someone's a big fan. I don't have an official schedule. Maybe I'll make one. I try to stream every day if I can. That's my goal for this year, is to just continue to kind of show how we work through this stuff. But I just, yeah. So I'll try to make something a little bit more scheduled so people can tune in, but there's always recordings, right? And there's not a lot of people asking questions live. I think the questions get posted to Discord and I answer them here later. So that's kind of been the workflow. But if we get enough people, you know, watching on Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn and whatnot, and they're posting actively, fine. First of all, I'm not doing this to be some YouTube influencer with 1 million views. I don't care about views. This is really about documenting what we do and having reference material that people can go to whenever they're interested in event modeling or event sourcing. Totally fine. The people that want to watch someone program and build systems because they learn something that's entertaining for them, cool. That's awesome. That's good too. But I think the majority here are using this more as a reference for, you know, showing some concepts or asking me a question and seeing the concept explained. So let's continue on. Yeah, so that was, who was that? Squishly. Interesting pseudonym, but yeah, hope to see Squishly on Discord. And maybe they'll have a question they want to ask later. So let's just take a look at this. So price, you know, $5, and line price $5 too. Okay. So we have the basket here. If someone has, and that's not product management, that is actually going up here to I guess our storefront. There is like the basket in the top right hand corner, so it does populate that here. And yeah, this is not checkout. This is someone checking out already. Let's see. So what I really wanted to show is that when we have a product added, product rename, but we want one more, not product rename. We want a customer that is also, okay, so that's okay, so that's product rename, but we also want a customer adding this. So I just wanted to show this as a reference. I can add this later. So product added, and we have checkout, sure. And then here we want to have product added to cart. So product added to cart, ID is 1234, and we don't really need more here besides these two things, right? We want 2 of these products in our cart. And it's, I guess I should call it, instead of basket, I should call it cart, just to be consistent. And of course, when we have this here, move these guys out of the way. But that's a horrible line. Delete that. Oops. Connect that here. Okay. Product renamed. So if we added this as a product product added power supply, right? So this is power supply with the old price, right? And so, yeah, when we add the product to the cart, that's where it gets added here. If we wanted to be more, give an example of this, you know, the cart just before that obviously didn't have this power supply in it. Right, so that's what it looked like before. Now it looks like this when we add this. Obviously there is a screen here where someone is, that's the checkout here. But, you know, maybe they go shopping some more. Copy. And here maybe this, what they're doing on this screen is product. Insert product, browse, screen, and you know they're adding something to the cart. So in between here, this is where we add product to cart, and this is obviously blue in terms of style. So we have our light blue, I believe it's this one. Nope. We have this one. What color is this? Yeah, well, we'll try this one. And that ends up with this, and it's this screen that they're using to add that. But meanwhile, while they're shopping, obviously this product management is renaming the product in this screen. And so this renaming affects that screen, right? We have that now. Right, so the fact that in the middle of our shopping session, you know, we added this with the name power supply. During that time, they updated this and they changed the name to include the wattage in the name. That's when that happens. Now, I think because this is a product lookup, that this ID, like this currently shows everything that's in the cart, but there's obviously a reason why if you have a lot of customers online all at the same time, you might not want to have this. And there's nothing wrong with changing this to be something slightly different, right? Don't worry about these. These are all just templates for future things that we want to do. Right, so in terms of our shopping example, this is what we have. But the point to answer this question completely is that we want to say that we can have this view or this structure for what we have in terms of implementation, or we can have something that is comprised of two tables. And I don't know if you want to show this, but product, so cart product lookup, again, we have a collection. Let's just have it on. Right, and any products that we have their own lookup table designed specifically for this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I guess the nice thing about this, if you have, you know, this particular state view that's split into 2 tables, is that you could now route certain events. Like obviously you don't need to update any, you know, all of a sudden the name disappears from here, right? We capture the price here. I mean, we could even take the price and the, well, maybe not the line item. Maybe even that is something that's calculated client side. We don't really care, but the lookup could have the price as well in here, obviously. But for now, let's just eliminate the name, right? So we could say cart product name lookup. And one of the reasons that they might want to keep the price in a separate one is maybe if they know someone is already shopping for it and we're reducing the price. Well, from a, you know, business perspective, someone might want to say, well, whoever's already shopping for it, they won't see the new price. We'll still charge them the full price, right? So, or the previous higher price. You know, it really, and I'm not saying this is ethical or anything like that, but like it's in terms of control, and there may be very good reasons in other domains why you might not want to do that and change something as someone is in the middle of preparing some workflow or some documents or whatever. You don't want to change something. So there's another reason why you would want to probably keep you know, the 2 lookups separate, right? So another one here, you know, it would be like ID, you know, this desk lamp, right? So 1, 2, 3, 5 on this, in this case, a name, you know, desk lamp. And yeah, and so one of the things here is obviously as you have different carts, right? I mean, this could be, most likely will be carts, and you have, you know, you will have a grouping of them, really, because it's going to be all your customers' carts, right? So you're going to have, you know, user Joe at abc.com, right? And they're going to have these products in their cart. And, you know, this is going to be one user. I don't know if I really want this type of formatting, but whatever. Right, and those are the carts. That's the products they have in here. And of course, that's one user, but you obviously might have more users. Let's just expand this a bit. Really? Okay. So, you know, there'll be another user, blah, blah, and they would have their own products. You know, for their cart, right? So that's kind of the view. And obviously when this is looked at by, you know, your users, they would have a filtering of this so that they only see their cart. It's filtered by the ID. But in the implementation, it's generally, you know, this could be, you know, carts that just shows what each user has currently as they're shopping. So That's fine. That's this implementation. So we don't have the lamp here. We don't have the name. We just have the price. And so, you know, in terms of database architecture, this is, you know, some little foreign key thing there, and, you know, relationship on two tables. And then the nice thing is, again, if you have some structure to these, that every time there's a product rename, it goes and changes this product name lookup. And so this is a pattern that we get a lot in our implementations, is that we have specific lookups that are tailor built for each specific state view. So a product name lookup, so I will not, you know, the key point here is I'm not reusing this lookup for anything else. Like if I have for product management, if I have like, let's just move some of this out of the way here, show you an example. Okay, select all that and move it over. So I have something different here, right? So I could have product name lookup, which right now is identical. And in here, you know, in our product management, again, this is the swim lane for what our, you know, managers, our employees are working with. And this is up here what our actual guests and customers are using. Is everything's shown in here, right? Product browsing, checking out, blah, 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 everything like that. But this person's using this. And so, yes, this has exactly the same information as this right now. Well, maybe it doesn't have it now. So the rename here would still be the old one. But this product name, and again, if I do this, then it also does this one. Actually, not this one, but this one. This is our implementation A. This is our implementation B, right? We could have it split out like this, where all this lookup stuff for the names is in a separate table. Although I can show a flat view of this here, denormalized, that's fine. The key point here, though, is let me just move this apart a little bit more. That's this here, and that's that here. I think that's, yeah, that's it. So when we have a product added to cart, right? When we have a product added, this, you know, adds it to here, but it also adds it to here. Right? And so that's the only difference between these two things. So in here, we have to listen for products being added. In here, we don't need to have this pre-populated. This only gets generated when we add something to a cart. Maybe this is the core of the question, is really it's about this state view. It's not about the what's in the event. We don't have you know, where we add something to our cart. I don't know, do we have added to, yeah, product, yeah, add product to cart. Yeah, there's nothing there, right, for the name. We're not repeating any information. But when we're adding the product to inventory that people can actually buy it, we preemptively have to add information to this lookup, which is fine. Here, if we're adding things to this, we would still need to have a way to get the current name in here. So I guess this is what what we do here. I forgot that we actually implement things like this all the time. So we have these quite often, but here we would have a snapshot of, this is where people get confused, I think, is that we need to have, if we're implementing it like this, which is something that we don't in production really ever do, this is why they might want to have the name in here when you're adding to the cart, because now you have to update the name in here later. So what do where do you get the information for the name here, right? Even if you have this view, you may need to have this here anyway. And in this case, you just want to select star from here. You don't want to have a join, but in terms of the actual state view, you still have to have that. So in other words, you really can't get away from this lookup, even though you're inserting this here, unless you're forcing yourself to add extra information to the event. So in this case, yeah, you don't want to do that. So, but these things are, you kind of tackle them as you get to them and see what works for you. I definitely, would not want to go to the master product name lookup to do this, right? I would want to keep a possibility of having my own version of the name or transform it in some way. And the reason for that is that whoever's working on the cart and how it's displayed, I don't want them to be coupled to the implementation that someone that was working on the master lookup, right? Because if I do this, reference this thing, the master table instead, anytime that there's any changes in implementation here, I have to walk back and look and see who's using this like a traditional application. And part of the reasons we're doing event sourcing is not to have the pitfalls of the traditional application coupling that, essentially this is saying I cannot have multiple abstractions of what a product name is. In event sourcing, we want to have multiple abstractions of what a product name means. It may mean something very different for a cart versus what an admin looks at. Obviously, the admin probably would want to look at the full information, the full name, not truncated. Here, the cart product name might be truncated, right, as an example. And different domains will give you different variations on like why you would want to have a certain form of the data displayed. And if you don't do that, you pay for it in the coupling. And the coupling is a very heavy tax in the longevity and scalability of the system, because you stop making things you stop making things in a loosely coupled fashion where like I'm free to kind of change this to whatever I want, because I'm only subscribing to this core event. If you change the core event, that's a new event type. That's event versioning. That's a better place for that problem to be explored, because now you're saying, okay, my product added, you might have another property here, or you might change the way one of those properties works. You now have to go and address all the different places where you have that. That's still better. It might say, oh, okay, I got, in the old traditional way of doing things, I only have one place to change that. But you really don't, because a lot of things still link to that, and you've got this horrible problem. So I'd rather have this as a new event type where I can now say who subscribed to this. I'm going to go look at it, kind of like walking relationships. And the nice thing is that you have two areas where coupling is addressed. Obviously in the state change, where you're managing the core information, and then the projections of that, which can be multiple. So I guess the short answer is we have both. This specific lookup, even if you have a denormalized view in a table that you're looking at to show the cart, or if you choose to have a normalized view and have a link to a table here, it really depends on tech stack you're using, you know, what type of solution you really want to work with. Sometimes when you know that you're not going to have a lot of renames, you just might want to do this and not bother with renames. You might have to put a processor to update the information of this. If you don't have this, you might have, you know, a blank name in there, and you'd go and use a processor to populate that, which is kind of funny because it's really just an abstraction of a link back to this. But the processor does give you a place to name any kind of translations that you might have, right? Usually these master lookups are quite identical to, you know, the core event that put that in there. So, you know, using this for the purpose of a processor, you might be able to say that, okay, I'm populating it with what's in the master table right now, but I'm adjusting it for X and Y. The idea is that you're trying to make sure that each of these different views is independent from one another. The coupling is removed once, you know, quite a bit. So I don't want to have an issue where I'm trying to change this lookup and inadvertently cause down the line effects on other workflow steps that may not share my idea of what this change is, and that's where we get into issues. In this case, when we're saying like, okay, I'll even though I'm copy pasting this, for now it's identical. It's got the same field names and all that. That's good. But I know if there's some change here, my stuff's still going to look the same, right? And the reason someone's changing something here might be for additional functionality, which I don't particularly care. Like maybe the product, you know, the product doesn't have the description price as well. It might have like, let's say it has like gross weight added to it, right? I want to, you know, calculate how much something's going to cost to ship. So I'm going to start adding, you know, the weight of the products in here. Do I need to, you know, update here, right? No, I don't. Yes, you could join to a master table and not include those fields. True. But those lines start to get blurred when you have combinations of properties that start to act on one another. You know, a certain view might, for example, combine the weight and the name. I don't know. It's really up to the people taking care of each workflow step to make up their mind. So yeah, this is kind of like the two ways that you have these lookup tables. One is an implicit, one implementation is kind of implicit relationship where you're really just grabbing this as a lookup without the equivalent of a SQL join type of thing. This one might actually leverage quite a lot of SQL to insert and do the lookup in here, and or just use that ID, and when you're selecting, you're joining. But these little islands of graphs is what you want, right? You make your own little world or your own little database, you know, for this particular storefront's cart display, and that's it. The product management has its own little world that it uses for doing that. And those two different worlds subscribe to the same source of truth to coordinate them, right? And of course, these continue to kind of track how the information's changed because they're additive only. So it's really good to walk this timeline backwards to see what happened exactly. It's yeah, it's quite good. So I don't know, that's kind of like the two ways that you could do this in terms of product lookups, but the short answer is that you always have tailor-made product lookup for whatever your projection is. In terms of implementation, as long as logically it's done like this, you could gather in the implementation a way to share a table if it's identical, and know to split it when it's not. So the implementation might share that if you're worried about excessive amount of disk space being used by the database by having these tables that, you know, have lots of extra space being taken up by redundant tables that show the same thing. But there's compression things. There's also deduplication of information, whether that's done on combinations of columns in a row or whatever. You know, in terms of our project that we're trying to automate here, I'm hoping to show some of those examples just on flat files. So like if I have a whole bunch of views that look almost identical, is there a way for me to, in my implementation, slice things up and do content addressable stuff, such as, you know, how Git stores objects, so that if you have multiple trees, like Git is an excellent example. You have a snapshot of your work tree repeated over and over again with each commit. And the reason that that tree doesn't keep taking up more and more and more space is because it's logically divided up by the structure and the contents of each file. And if that file contains exactly the same amounts, the exact same information, the hash comes out to be the same hash for that object, and you need to only store it once. So you can think of those same ideas here, and I'm sure databases give the same level of deduplication, and you can, you know, we can explore this by implementing it ourselves, just to show how easy it is to kind of use previous information as a cache for future information if that object has the exact same content. So yeah, those are fun things to build, because at the end of the day, these information systems are, you know, as long as you're just storing information, like you're doing e-commerce, you're doing insurance, you're doing those types of things, it's pretty easy stuff to continue to use the same patterns of how you manage information. So yeah, we'll continue to that. So I hope that answers the question. I'm going to link to this in our Discord, and hopefully that makes sense, you know, for someone to look at this, and some of the other members can jump in and give their own 2 cents on this. But I really wanted to make sure that we understand that, you know, we make our own projections and don't want to be coupled to how someone uses the product information here versus how someone uses the information here. We want this development effort to be independent. I don't want to tie two developers too much to one another. I don't want them to have these three-legged races together to get things done. If there's something significant enough, it's going to be reflected in this event, and then we can actually walk the lines of who subscribes to that event to change them accordingly if needed. That's where we want that level of collaboration to happen. Otherwise, I want people to really have their own worlds, to not worry if Joe in the desk next over is doing something that's going to cause issues for, you know, the work I'm doing on, you know, the cart view. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get to coding. So I will remove all this. I don't think it's that interesting. It's really the simple lookup pattern that's you're going to find, you're going to deal with all the time in your event source solutions. So it's not too interesting. I'm just going to delete it. And we can continue on with our project. So currently we are, I guess we can run, oh, we are running this. So if we go and set the name here, so this is our project. If I look at this, we have the naming, so setting the name of the conference, setting dates, adding rooms, and then we're on to the adding time slots. We don't have this done yet. I'm not sure if that's done, but yeah, this is in progress. This is not done. So our time slots are not done. That's the next part. But yeah, we've got the naming, the setting dates, the adding rooms done. And we can look at that. So we can say conf example or example conf. You know, what better way to show this than with also showing that our events can work. So we have a whole bunch of old events here, but I want to just remove them. Look how slow it's deleting. Like, what is the matter with VS Code? Anyway, so yeah, so we have this workflow, and if we walk through it, we do have, you know, this is the naming screen right here, and then setting dates should be next. So naming, example conf, and continue. Congratulations screen. I'm not sure if we, yeah, we had that congratulations screen here. Right. And so we continue to dates. I guess we shouldn't have the two dates. It shows continue, but we have that labeled that way. Now dates, we can say 22nd through to 23rd. And then we set dates, and it says congratulations. So we have this, and that's what we get here. And we've done that, so that's why these are colored green, that we did them. And then we continue to add rooms. So we can add CS100, we can add CS200. And on the left, you can see the events getting added as I do these things. Oops, I wanted to add one more. CS200 add, and then I want to add third one there. So added 3 rooms, and then we continue, and now we're onto the time slots. And this is in progress. At least it's Joe in progress, but it'll be me in progress. And because it's not done, we have to have this display here. So let's get to it. So we have get branch, and we have time slot add. So I think we have just the screen for it. And let's just see if that's included in our previous one. So let's just say get branch contains start. Oh, there's no contain start too. So if we do this, we notice that time slot add was in our previous sprint. So it's a feature that wasn't finished, which is interesting. So we're not going to have a lot of the scaffolding that we have since we started sprint 2. So let's just see how that plans out, because most likely we're going to probably grab check out the QA version of of our latest build and gut it from all the rest of the functionality. That's usually what I do if I want to get the infrastructure and other stuff out. In this case, the testing framework is different. So if I check out, first of all, let's just mark our continuing with time slot add. Slice. Push that up, and so now we do a get checkout. Oh, sorry, GCO, and then we have time slot add here. Oops. Add. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of stuff that that disappeared. For example, we don't have the views that we had. We only have our time slots view. I kind of want to bring back everything for generating the view. I'm not sure if this view is okay. So, and then of course app.js, I think we have, okay, so notice we have very little. Like this was our basic first slice to just kind of get Express going. And you know, this thing is, I don't know, probably not the best implementation here for these time slots. So I don't know what's going on here. Oh, bin obj. Okay, so obviously that's from our .NET, so we can remove those. And that's fine. If I check out, so if I want to get, let's just see. App.js, okay, this has nothing, right? I mean, this is really dumb. There is really no functionality here except to render the mustache screen, the view. So I don't care about losing all of this. I have my testing framework and everything else here. So what I'd rather do is I'd like to check out my app JS from the latest QA, which is going to have the latest supporting code. It would be a lot easier to do this if I didn't have everything in one giant file. Again, I may have to rewrite that, but for now it's fine. So if I do get checkout and we want bpf-qa, and then I want app.js, then that'll do that. And can I do multiple ones? I think I can do views and get all of these. That will give me everything that I need, and then time added or add time is not there. So if I refresh this, why do I not have more views here? I guess that doesn't work. Get status. It just has that. So I guess it ignores that. Really? How can I not get views? Is it confused? Oh yeah. Now it has all of them. Okay, so the /*, I'm not sure if it's fish shell that's screwing it up. All right, I'll investigate that another time. So we got the rest of the views so that the time slots thing can be kind of redone. I kind of don't want that now because I have all the examples of the rest of the code now in here. So I want to have my AI be able to look at the rest of the solution. And as we get into new slices in the next sprints, we're going to have a lot of this work already in the solution. So that's where we're going to be able to, look and have the AI gather information from those. So yeah, let's take a look at that. So how would that look like? We have set name. So in here, we are looking at this. And we want this to have the same kind of functionality to be able to add this. So let's see if I can get turn off the progress. Let's see if we can get the whole thing kind of done this way. Do we even have these? Okay, let's see. I don't think this is what we want. I think we're just using this as an experiment to show the specification type. So I'm just not going to bother with tests for this for now. I guess we could. We kind of want to say that, yeah, there's some, this is just like formatting stuff. I think I was just using this to show the formatting. So this is not the actual specification here. So we should look at time slot added, first session, name, second session, right? And we could make this we could make the tests here as well and make them pass. So yeah, we add the first one and then we can add the second one. I guess we just don't bother with any breaks. I mean, we could. I mean, let's be nice. Let's add these breaks, and you could have a whole bunch of automation here, or just some more logic for the better defaults for these things. So could do a whole bunch of client-side stuff to make this just easier to use. Where before you start making these slots for the sessions, you would say default break between session 5 minutes, things like that. Non-sessions don't get breaks, so they don't end early. Like lunch, for example, lunch just goes on from whatever. I don't know. Depends. I mean, you could use your imagination. You could do quite a lot. I really just want to say that we just want to look for sessions not overlapping. I think that's our only slot already taken. Slot is overlapping. I don't really want to find, do I really want to bother with things like start time is greater than end time, those kinds of mistakes? I think we could just rely on client side validation. I don't know, maybe not, whatever, but we'll see. I just don't want to get down a rabbit hole with what we would do for a real system and take 2 days to just do this, right? Generally, our slices take anywhere between 3 hours to 3 days or a week even to do, depending if someone's junior. So, you know, for me to show you stuff in full would take quite a lot of these sessions where I'm doing them 2 hours at a time. So in this case, I'm just gonna, you know, have a simpler example where we're doing one failure, you know, showing an overlapping time slot where I'm going to try to add, you know, the third session to overlap with the first and second or something like that. You know, if I do something stupid like 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, obviously that's going to overlap. I guess, yeah, I just don't need these ones. And then I can shrink this. Okay, and that's just going to be a very simple happy path. Again, I'm going to use the same formatting. I don't know if these rooms are the same tests that we actually did. I should check at one point. Again, I want to use this format here. That this is the happy path. Timeline happy path. Time slot added. Add time slot. Yeah. Time slot is overlapping. With others that are already defined. Right. Okay. So that's a good specification that people understand. We're just looking for overlaps, just in case someone makes a dumb mistake. We don't have. I guess we do have our days because we have our date range. Oh, pardon me. Could have some validation on date range as well. So that's that. Let's see our progress. So that fits in there. And yeah. So that's that. Good. I think I want to now get rid of the progress view, and I'm going to generate most of this as well. So grab that as what our UI is supposed to look like. We'll copy this, and then we'll go here and go to our code generation magic. Because again, I did check out everything here, and I want to do the yeah, I just want to make sure that the let me just run it. I want to make sure that our time slots add the time slots post or get. Let's just make sure we can see it properly. I don't really want this state view. I mean, It's really getting ahead of itself, isn't it? So I'm just gonna grab this and edit it down to so set name, those slices. Okay, see, I don't like that. So I always have slice name up here so that if I shrink this, it tells me the name, right? I shrink this, tells me what that is. That's fine. That tells me what it is. This tells me what it is. But like some of these long running things like these tests and stuff. Okay, so room state view, yeah. See here I have it on the top. So if I shrink it, I can see what that is. And then the rooms here, we know that that's the post that it's handling here. And then here we have adding the rooms. And here we have the time slots. That's interesting. So we still had a time slots piece of, oh, why did it do that? Did we have this from? Interesting. I didn't remember that we had a handler for time slots. I guess we do. Well, then I guess I don't have to copy this in there. We already did have that. So if I run this, do I have a good time slots? Okay, yeah, so we did have that. We added that in. Okay, I remember now, because that's the last one that we did. We wanted to make sure it at least went to this. And we have this weird functionality here where this sort of sometimes work when I click on it and some, see, like, is it like, okay, so there's a button here that's like, oh yeah, okay. There is, the formatting here is horrible. So maybe this is okay. So there is a button for me to click to get these going. So yeah, I can do this like at 9 a.m., 9:45 or 9:55 or whatever. And yeah, this can be 9 a.m. Okay, so yeah, 9 a.m. Slot 1. And that shouldn't work, right? Add does nothing. Okay, so it's got to post. It's posting to time slots, so that's good. Cannot post time slots. Cool. So I guess we can get ahead of ourselves and say that we can get the implementation from our example here. Let's see. Our time slots, test case is easy, it's just one timeline. I didn't really need to copy paste that. I think we kind of have that. But what do we have for continue? Do we have anything for continue? No, continue should be create conference URL and all that. Which is fine. We kind of don't want to do that yet. We want to get these individual time slots added. So let's see. So there's our examples. Good. Let's take a screenshot of that. And sure we have the name. Let's see if it generates the tests. So, oops, I guess I'll just copy this. And here, I'm gonna go back to the app.js and add the tests. and implementation of adding time slots. Okay. So what I'm going to show here is that I want to make sure I don't have any other unrelated functionality, and merging it into dev will work with just this. So according to the GWT, given when then on in the picture, in the image. Okay, I'm hoping that Cursor AI has like a history of what I've been talking about in this project. Give it more context, but first of all, I want to be running the solution when it's doing this. And yeah, add the test and implementation of adding time slots according to the given one in the image. Let's see how smart it is. So add the time slot. I'm looking for the tests to make sure that it gets them correctly. Again, I'm usually quite impressed with what it's able to do. These look a little wordy, but maybe that's fine. So the command is 9:30 to 10:25 first session. First time should be added when valid. The result, add time slot. I have my previous events. Okay, so I have my result. So my given when then is here. And I have my given and then when. And this is my when. Type. Okay, it's missing the type. Time slot added. Am I missing this from my command? I guess it's fine because it's add time slot, so it knows that the command is really the name of the function, which is okay. If you don't have explicit command objects, functions will do. Unless you're routing them and scaling, then yeah, you wrap it up and then you can have things inspect the payload and route it according to contents. But for this case, we don't need to. Yeah, add time slot, add time slot. So it's actually good that it interpreted this as not needing to create a command object specifically with a type, because I don't think we're doing that anywhere. So it's getting the command here. This is the command, and we're making sure to assert that the result, that this actual function, the test, the class under test or function under test, is giving us the correct type, which is this start end date, start and end times, and the name. It's first session, which is easy. That's just a CRUD thing. And the second one, yeah, second non-overlapping should be added. Yeah. And then time slot is overlapping with others. Overlapping slots should throw an error. Run with exception should over. Okay, so let's see if that logic, now it added the implementation as well. Okay, it's adding some extra throwing here, which is fine. I don't mind that. We can probably tailor this to be a little bit better, but I don't need this. Do I need this? I mean, heck, if it works, right? New start, new end. Filter events, blah, blah, blah. Time to minutes. Okay, this is interesting. So it does that. It has overlap, existing slots. Okay, this is okay. So it's a pretty good. And there's the proper return type. Yeah, this doesn't need the timestamp because that's okay. I mean, it'll work. This is interesting though, that I guess it doesn't want to inline this. This helper function's really good for this purpose, so I'd rather have this function as part of the upper function. So, but hey, actually, I think it did the job in terms of getting this to work. And I'm just being nitpicky about the code, and I shouldn't be talking, I want ugly code, right? I'm saying that you should replace code and all this stuff. So do what you say, Adam. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's apply it. Apply, and it did that. I'm gonna accept this, and oh, and it didn't do this one though, right? So post time slots. So we have to apply this where it actually. This is not what I really want these to be in a separate try, but it's fine for now. All right, so it got rid of our stupid default to now have everything that we need in there. Just clear this every time. Okay, let's first of all, let's see if the tests work. Oh, one thing I wanted to do, and I hate this, slice. Oh, did it add it at the end again? Yes, it did. So we have a problem. This keeps adding things to the end. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try this one more time because I'm sick of this adding too many things to now. I pressed Control Z twice, so it shouldn't have it doesn't have that at the end, because the problem is it's adding the new functionality at the end of the file. I always want this to run at the end. That's another reason to split this up, because yeah, there's so many problems with one giant app file. I still want to keep it in one giant app.js to have this continuity of moving things through. So this is all processor stuff. This is still that. Did we get rid of everything to do with get events, push events, set name, rooms, time slots? Okay, so we're back to the default here. What I want to do is at the end, this test runner is always at the end of the file. New additions should always be added above within top of this file. Above. How about just above? So let's see if that's going to make this listen. So it's doing the same implementation here. It's really about how it's going to apply the patch for the new functionality, whether it's not this part that's doing it. So I think it still has this, the beautiful thing about this is it really knows these timelines now, and our behavior-driven development with event sourcing is adhered to quite strongly here, which is, I would say, quite impressive. So it's got the add the time slot as before. It's got the little helper function. It's state view. Did it really need the state view? I mean, sure, why not? So it's got the post, but it's got the date that gets as well. Okay, well, let's see what it does. Again, it didn't run the tests last time because they got added at the very end, and it shouldn't. So we'll apply this. I see it's put it in the wrong part again. So I guess I can't have this in here. This has to be deleted, and I do have to. Okay, why is it jumping around here? Okay. Ensure. And I'm guessing I could have some of these problems that are repeating. I could go to the settings. General, where is it? Rules for AI. Okay. Always keep test runners in node applications at the bottom of node of app of the JS file. Okay, so if I do that, hopefully it's not going to have that issue, and I don't want to have to prompt for that stuff, so it should still generate the same thing. Yeah, that's good. So it's amazing how AI shows that the clearer the specifications, the less hallucinations happen. Like every time I see people complaining about AI automation, they're complaining about that it can't read their mind. Event modeling is really good for getting across that, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, already has the necessary structure to display the time, so it's handle the form submission. Okay, so that's great. This is really good. So now, yeah, it's gonna put both of these in. Let's hope that, okay, so it's got add time slot and tests for adding it. And now it's got the routes for doing all that. See, this is bad because I didn't ask for it. Especially since it didn't put this in function. So, that's something I don't want to deal with either. All event manipulation is done via a function that can be tested using the test runner. That's quite succinct. I'm wondering if it's smart enough to figure out that the test runner does given when then and given then. Because we have two types here. We have the state view and the state change. And so it should reject this direct manipulation of the events here and call a function instead. So let's give that a go. So try again with the code base. Now the interesting thing is I didn't ask for the displaying of the time slots, but it's assuming it's going to do that, which is interesting. So it's got the implementation and the helper function, and now it's got actually I want this to follow quite a strict kind of isolation for these read models especially. So I want helper functions to be isolated to the functions that they're being used in. Problem is that all this AI stuff has been trained on code where dry is kind of king, like the solid principles and all that stuff is applied wholesale. In this case, I will not be wanting to use this function again, even if I am doing something to do with time later. I will want another one of these for that purpose. So I'm, again, like I said in the beginning, I want that to be decoupled. So that's what I really want to do. So let's do this again. But let's just see if it did this correctly. If it created return, okay. Oh, it did, right? Okay, good. So it's got time slots view. Yeah, time slot state view, get events. That's perfect. That's exactly what should happen. Because that's given, it's testable via given these events. Then it returns what you want to assert on. Perfect, right? Return a history. And I don't know if, yeah, history is just these events. It should be called events, which is really good. Any helper functions should be declared in a slice inside the main function as they are not meant. Okay, let's see if that's gonna give us the proper code. I'm actually quite happy keeping this prompt. I'm hoping it's specific enough that it's not going to affect general code generation in a negative way, but let's just keep going. I gotta remember that I put this in here. Yeah, helper function, yeah. I want that. Okay, so that's still doing that. The handlers are still, oh, this is better. Okay, so it's doing what I did before. So this is actually positive because if there's an error in creating this, then I want it to be as 400. If there's an event, okay, so there should be actually 3. I actually would like to split it up into 3 and have a 500, 400, 500 error thrown, depending on whether, because if I can't get the events, that means there's something wrong with accessing the file system. That's a 500. If I have a problem because I caught an error that the actual logic threw, then I got a 400. Then if I'm having an issue storing the resulting event, again, there's a file system, some deep issue, I want to go to that. So that's quite interesting, because I'm going to have to change the other implementations as well. I might want to have like a cleanup kind of post-sprint retrospective here on like what we can do, and then see how much better we can get the code generation to be. So, but let's see what else we got. We got res render time slot. This is, yeah, this is really nice. That's really good. That's getting it as a separate thing, but this, yeah, I don't know why it's not doing that. Let's see what words it uses in here. Helper functions in JS are, well, let's just see. State change, yeah. Or state. Helper functions are added in line of state change functions or state view functions, if any needed. Okay, let's do it one last time, and I promise I'm gonna not bother with this. Just some things that are hard to express as to what we want it to do. So again, we have, yeah, it's still putting this helper function outside. I wanted it to be internal to this, but that's fine. So I'm just not gonna bother doing this because it's not, I don't want extra tokens being taken up and all of that. It's still doing this quite well. Should overlap error message. This should really say it didn't throw any exception, so I'm not too happy with that, but it is checking for whether there was something thrown, which was good. Yeah, I guess, and then it's doing this, which is good. So again, before it inlined all this here, and that's not correct. And I think there's enough examples of the code. So maybe the difference is if I accept this with this helper function, and then I just move it up in here, if that's gonna let it know later that yeah, for future code generations, it will inline the functions. So let's apply all this and see what happens. So apply this. Again, it's putting it below the test runner. I think I really want to start to structure this a little bit differently. But whatever. Sure, this is add time slot. That's good. And then we apply this. So these are the tests. So we test all that. And then we add the routing. I think it'll just replace the routing. This should go into the right part. Or no, it is putting it down here. And it also wants, okay, so we accept that. And then we also want, sure, existing time slots. Let's add that, accepts this. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we need to do. Just shrink these things so we can see them all. So yeah, we have the post being handled. We have our state view. We don't have tests for it. We probably will add them. I thought there was some. Maybe it's a different slice. That's why I kind of don't want this here yet, but whatever. Makes sense to have it actually. This helper function belongs in here. Okay, so we have that. What we do need is this test runner to be at the bottom. Because that will make sure that we have things working. So let's run the tests, and those are the last ones that we added. Time slot. Now, all this time slot stuff, so tests pass, which is great. But all this stuff, anything to do with the, okay, first of all, this needs to go on the previous line so that we can shrink it and I can see what's going on. Now I can say add time slot, slice name, add time slot, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. Then we have that. So we're doing the post. So we have our add time slots. We have our tests for add time slots, and we have a router for adding time slots. Okay. And we have a state view. And we also need a get, right? And I think we already have a get. Shrink some of these other ones. Okay, all this stuff. Time slots. Yeah, we have a get. So it's really weird that it inserted anything to do with time slots away from where this already was. And it did update this though, which is cool. So what I want to do is say, hey, I have time slot stuff. And, you know, what is this? Oh yeah, this is function tests. All this stuff has to be below these. So all of this, yeah, all of this stuff has to go to the time slots. So if I do that and Control X all of this, I can go back up to time slots, rooms, time slots, yep. So we can do all that, and I'm just going to shrink all this. And of course, the tests now should come out in the proper order as well. So you know, these adding time slots and rooms. So after rooms, we should see that. So if I now rerun the tests, get rid of this for a second, so we have more room, and open that up, we should have, yeah, add time slots change, right? State view for rooms, like room state view was the previous one. Time slots is after that. And then we have our unique IDs for the conference ID. So it actually is now sitting where it should be in terms of if we look at the general flow. So we have rooms, time slots, and then this registration portal, right, with the conference ID in the processor. So it's now sitting correctly where it's supposed to be. So now if we just run it, we should be able to see the time slots correctly. Yeah, it's there. And if I add, let's say, a 7 a.m. to an 8 a.m. probably have better values. Session 1, add. Start time, end time are required. Okay, that doesn't sound right. I think I had them in there. I think we have to see whether we're naming things correctly. Just add. Hopefully use. Check that the posted. Oh, I know what it is. It's again that Multex, isn't it? It's been biting me in the butt. With this multiple. So if we go tests, add a time slot, get post time slots. Oh, no, it is doing this. Start time, end time. Are required. Okay, so it's really our function that failed. Is it because we put this in here, time to minutes? But it should give me a different error. It should be using this function. So it's not getting start. Oh, right. This is. So yeah, it didn't. So yeah, it doesn't fully follow. No, it's still failing. So start time. What does the time slots thing do here? Start and name. Oh, that's for displaying it. Where's the form for add a time slot? It's this existing time slots. Start time, end time, and name. Oh, and the name is name? No. Okay. Name. End time. Oh, here. That's where the problem is. Multex. Always catches me there. Okay, so that's probably the issue. Go back to time slots. Again, something I should add to the rules, right? Nope, still giving me a problem. Interesting. So Let's add some instrumentation to see where the issue is. So if we have this post, oh, okay, well, that's why we renamed these to these things. So hopefully that's it. One more time. 3, 11, 2, 4, 11, plot 1. And yeah, okay. Wow, that works. Our tests pass. We got another slice done. Okay, cool. But we are not done yet. We borrowed all the existing code to make sure that this slice is done like the others, more or less. Let's just add another one. Just I'm paranoid that it's not. You know, let's do 4, 15, 2, 5, 10, 5, 10. Slot 2. Okay, it works. Let's see if our validation works. Let's put 3. 313 to 408. Yeah, overlap is okay. Now I'm wondering if this will be fooled by putting something all the way around. So like from 2 till 5, right? Nope, it checks. That's pretty cool. So I'm guessing it just checks if any of the end or start times are in between what my proposed one is. So it seems to be quite an easy one to check. Okay, cool. That's good. This one doesn't go anywhere, which is okay. But to finish the slice, I think that functionality should be part of the state view. So we'll do that next. Although we really have it here. Again, as I said, some of these collection things, kind of want to do 2 slices at once. Because you need the immediate feedback of that. It's not like the other ones where you had a separate page for like, congratulations, you did blah. I mean, I guess we could have a page for just adding things and then say, congratulations, you have these particular time slots, and you can add another one if you want, but yeah, it's kind of artificially complex. We don't want to make things harder than need to be. So let's just add this as that, and maybe part of the slice view, part of the slice for state view is we're just going to have the tests as that. So but yeah, that's good. So this works. And let's now clean things up, because the only thing we want in this slice is the time slots. We don't need any of this other stuff. All of this stuff here is just stuff that we use to help with the code gen, right? But we want our feature to be independent of all the other stuff, so we're going to get rid of all of these other things that we have. Okay. And in app.js, we have, let's just go up here, and we have all our setup for Node, which we want, actually. We want to have this code in this slice. It'll make it easier to merge things with other stuff. So get events, push events, this is all processors, notify processors. We all want that. But setting a name, right? That's part of a slice. If we go here, oops, if we go to our Dryo model here, we notice that, you know, this is, let's just turn on our progress here so we can see, you know, setting the name, that's a different slice, right? All this stuff is different slices. The only thing we want is this here, right? We don't want the rest of these other types of slices. So let's get rid of the adding rooms, setting dates. Don't need any of that stuff. So let's hack this whole thing apart. So let's just shrink all these things so we see what's going on, right? And hopefully we can see. See, we have time slots. We want these nice and expanded. This is what we want. Add time slot, we want that expanded. Okay, this is our test that we put in with those 3 rows, right, for given when-thens. It looks beautiful. I'm actually really impressed as to how well it generates the critical code, which is your, you know, your functional, like your business logic stuff, your, you know, and keeping it as pure functions and all that. That's really good. And then time slot state view. Now this one I'm not sure, but I will keep it just for now. But this conference ID thing, we don't need this, right? This whole processor here for that. Right, this is another, you know, if I look at where this is used, you know, I don't know if this, I hate having this dangling at the top level here as a const. You know, where is it used? It's probably somewhere else, but anyway, I'd rather have it be used somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Okay, so it's throwing this error with this message here. You know, is there a better logical place for that? But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. So let's just keep shrinking all of these. So we have all these tests. We can shrink that down a little bit. Now we have our test runner, which is all of this stuff, which is good. So running our tests. Here we have our app listener stuff. Assert, run with expected error, right? Assert, run with expected error, and their tests, and then here is where we split to either run the application or run the tests. And this is always at the bottom. But now that we have all of this, what I have left expanded in terms of the functionality of slices is what we want to keep, and the rest of the stuff we want to remove. So we don't want, in this slice, we don't want anything to do with setting the name, any of this stuff, right? Adding rooms, etc. All we want to do is add this time slots, right? So we can delete that. So I'm just going to press delete. I don't want this extra space here. This looks like extra white space as well. Yeah. That's kind of funny how it does this, but same with this, might be one-liners or whatever. It's a little wordy, but yeah, has overlap. Is pretty cool how easy this was. And then we have our tests, which we're quite happy with. And then we have our time slots. more time slot stuff. And now we don't need this generating the unique IDs, any of their tests. This either, we just want our test runner, right? So we're good. We can delete all that. And it should still function, right? This still should work. So before we commit anything, we should still double check that, you know, with that, we can still run the tests. And we can't. GenConf ID processor, and I'm not sure why that is. Obviously, we didn't get rid of everything. 38 processors. Oh, right. So we don't need any of the processors. We should actually have this as an empty collection because we don't have any processors. That should work. So that's another little bit. We might want to somehow split that off into separate files so that it's done. And okay. And here we have issues, caught error, test failed. I mean, it tells me it's not failing for the right reason. So what's the first error here that we get? So what did we delete that we needed for that test? Okay, let's delete things a little bit slower. Okay, so we got rid of that. Got rid of all of this. And that was the stuff after. Now we are missing the stuff before, I think. Time slots, notify processors. Yes, we don't have any of the other ones. Yeah, okay, so that should be it. So it should restore all of our tests. And they're all passing. Oh, except our time slots. Oh, interesting. So how do we make... We didn't get our tests to pass. They were working before. What else did we do? Control Z. What did that do? They're still failing. I kind of want to redo. Oh, I remember. We renamed a whole bunch of stuff to get that. We didn't come back to test the... So we were testing the functionality and we renamed some of these things inside the command here. So command start, we had start time and all this, right? So yeah, that makes sense. So we have this. Start time, end time. Yeah, all of that stuff now has to be reflected in start time, end time. Right, we need that. We need that. Right. And here, I think we need that. And that should... the last one's passing. But we still have a problem with the first two. Because... start time, end time. I think the function still has... yeah. We need those. That one still didn't have all of these renamed. Okay, that's good. So now... nope, still not working. Where do we have it here? As time slots, get events, command history, start time, end time, command name. Command name. Yeah, it's here. It's this actual data. Causing an issue, yeah, because that event is being used as the beginning event for the others. So that's going to cause an issue. And of course, that's going to cause an issue. That. And I think that's all of them. Yep, should be all of them. Nope, still not all of them. Time slot, start time, end time. Okay. That shouldn't affect it. We're still missing... start time should match. Oh, did I change the start time? Let's take a look at the first test. So the event is 9:30, 10:25. Command is that. Oh, assert. Result. It should be the event. Because we're asserting against the event. Yes. Again, this should be the event. Thank you. So it almost got it. I mean, we're doing a lot of... that's still not... time start time should match. Why is start time not matching? Start time, event start time. Add time slot. Result. So it's the result. Okay, it's our function that is causing an issue. Command. Okay, why is there a command here? That's the command, yeah. It should be required. Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. Last time. This is the last place. Okay, good. So, yeah, now it's all good. Okay. So I shouldn't have deleted all those things or redone all the deletions because that wasn't the problem, but I was paranoid. I thought I did something inadvertently. So unfortunately I did that. But yeah, I mean, I should be more confident with this stuff. So we don't need set name. Conference name. These tests. You know what? Let's shrink all these again. Function slice. We'll get rid of all these. Set dates. Don't need those either. The rooms we don't need. Rooms tests we don't need. Posting to add rooms we don't need. And we just need the time slots, right? So we can get rid of all of these previous things. Yeah, these are all good to go. Just might as well double check that we're still running all tests. And it should be fewer now, right? We don't have those. Okay, so now we have time slots. Those are the ones we want, so let's just shrink those. Time slots, time slot change. Posting the time slot, and time slots view. However, we don't want this stuff. Request all of this. Actually, let's shrink these as well. So conf ID, request ID, the tests for that. This tests for the processor. Generate unique ID. No, we don't need that. Don't need this. And then of course we do want all of our test runner stuff. So those are all good. Right, all of this stuff is fine. We just don't want anything from here all the way up to our time slot stuff. Okay, so we can delete that. And now we should have a bug because I don't think we... Yes, because we don't have this processor. And we have a processor collection up here where we need to get rid of that. I'd like to get rid of this kind of dependency. Again, when we break out to multiple files, it'll be easier to do with that. But at this point, we should have the tests passing, yes, and we should have the application running with just time slots, right? So that's the only URL we get. It still works. Although we don't have the times displayed properly. So that's kind of a bummer. We don't have one more thing here. Time slot view. I think we have start and end time in the actual Mustache file here. Yeah. So yeah, we have those problems here. So try that again. And add, yeah, still not showing up. That's odd. So we have those, we still have start. Oh, I see. Because we wrote them earlier before refactoring, right? So all of these time slot added things, yeah, we can just correct them. And so, I mean, we can just refresh this and it should work. Yeah. Of course, we should, you know, check that it continues to work with like, you know, 534 and 638. Lot 3. Add. Okay, so it seems to be fine now, and the new one gets written with start time correctly. Okay. Okay, good. So it's just a bunch of like you'd have that type of a problem with any kind of solution. It's nothing to do with event sourcing. Just field renames. If you don't catch them all, then yeah. Oh yeah. So Vladislav, yeah, it would be good to know the expected, and so our test runner could use a bit of work. That's for sure. Again, the test runner is just very quick and dirty. That runs like this. So yeah, and this assert, you know, we can make the message a little bit better, I guess. Yeah, we have the message. So when we're doing the asserts in our tests, can we abstract that out? Probably. I mean, we could have an assert equal and then just pass these two in as parameters and then have the message and then expected and actual would be there. So yeah, absolutely. Good point. We can do that. Maybe I'll do that as a separate, you know what? Let's add that. Why not have it as part of this slice? Although I want it as a separate commit just for fun, right? So I agree. Get status. Okay, so we have everything is okay. There's a new file, but then we also deleted the file. We just have to add everything in terms of like what is our current state and then confirm that we only have the functionality that we want. And of course, app.js will be absolutely trashed. Like this add time slot was like an experimental little piece that we picked out of the event model to just make sure that Express was basically running, and that's all. So I don't expect app.js to really have anything important. So we'll basically overwrite it with everything. So if I do a get add and do everything, get status should only show that, which is, yeah, we modified those two things. And if we do a get diff, we should have things that we expect. Staged. Right, so app.js is gutted. I know that we've added a lot. We removed some of the other stuff. We added this get event stuff. And then, of course, we got rid of the time slots with just the stub, which was rendering an empty array just to get that view going. We're just really testing the mustache thing, and that's it. But now we have all of our tests, and we have the test runner, etc. So that's good. We also have these changes to the time slots mustache file, which is good. So now we can do git, just double check that we don't have anything else, git commit, and we can say that finished time slot add state change slice. Okay, now I like Vladislav's suggestion to have the proper assert. Let's build our little stupid test runner to be a little bit more intelligent. So let's close this and let's make that a reality. And where's our test runner? Down here, of course, at the bottom. There's the assert, and then assert equal. And AB message. If not, AB throw message. And that should be expected. expected B bug at A. I think, is that the... Let's test that out, shall we? Let's break one of the tests and see that we get that. So if we just make this an empty string and run it. And oh, we need to assert equal. So the result is at the beginning, expected value is the second one. I guess that makes sense. I think that's how all of the tests run. Start time should match, but got 10:30. Yes, I think that's correct. So yeah, so now you got it. So now we can do that, and that should pass. Let me just make sure things pass still. Good. And so now we can do assert equal. Oh, much better. Okay, so assert equal is much nicer. Thank you for the suggestion. And I think we can just add a not equal. That's the message is wrong. The message doesn't make sense, right? Or assert not equal. Expected not be. But got the same thing. Something like that. Okay, whatever. I think that'll work, right? Let's do that now. Where's our not equal? Okay, so let's try that. Okay, good. If I do caught exception, caught error, I mean, should fail, right? Should throw an error. Or, oh, no. Yes, so should throw an error for overlapping slots. I guess we need to have some formatting on these just to set them apart. They are kind of hard to read. So let's do that. I think a period would be good. And then just capitalize that. and do a dot there. Okay, I think that's more readable. So test failed, overlapping, blah, 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 rejected. Due to, should throw an error for overlapping slots. Expected. No, it didn't just say didn't expect. It's just horrible English. Did not expect blah, but got the same thing. Yeah, that's just read really, I don't know. It's late, that's why. Should throw an error for overlapping slots. Did not expect blah. And maybe we should just put quotes. Oops, single quotes, I guess. And then, of course, we should have quotes around all that. Okay, and I guess we can test the other one, assert equal, and make sure that that makes sense. Something. And then test that out. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Okay. And then okay, good. So great suggestion to use those. I like that. And we can fix the others. Assert equal, assert not equal. Very good. So now we can start using those instead. I like it. Thank you for the suggestion. So I should make that a separate test run. So I'm going to git add patch, and I'm going to skip that. Skip that. Skip that. What? Oh, as I was saying, no. Sorry. No. No. I do want to get these. So yes, I want to do that. Its status is going to have it in 2. Git commit add cherry pick for cherry picking, for cherry pick. Added asserts that show expected and actual values. Okay, good. So I can push that. And now we can stage the rest. Just double check that we have just that. So git add everything else. Git commit changed tests to use new asserts. Okay, get to push that. Good. So now we're done with that. This is an interesting one because we now have a slice that actually survived from the previous sprint that we're going to merge to the current sprint. I think Jake Brunn from Portland, Oregon, who attended our workshop, brought this up in the Discord a couple of days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, about branch management and how we do things. And so this is a good example of where I didn't really want to rebase everything and still make it work with a regular merge. I would rather always just merge and not rebase. So you saw me sort of grab the code that would support the way things work now, and then I can make that fit properly. So this scenario actually wouldn't have worked out. I would have, like, you know, this may come up, but generally if you're working with slices, this rarely comes up, this type of issue. We're doing a lot of experimenting here, so we're going to have a lot of these kind of weird resets. So anyway, let's take a look at how we can now merge this to our dev branch to make sure everything works together. Because now we kind of already had that going. We kind of cheated, not really, but like grabbed all of the supporting functionality that we're going to merge to anyway. We're still going to have a conflict because of the place where things get inserted as before. So if we do git checkout and then do our bpf dev and then do a git commit unresolved dependencies. I think that's the stupid anyway, whatever. We'll double check later. Git status, we're still clean. Git merge. And then we want the add slice, right? So bpf slice, state change, time slot add, and we're implementing a node. Sure, no problem. Merge, give me the conflict. Yes, of course you have a conflict. And yeah, this is perfect. I mean, yeah, I would really like to break out the processors to be mapped in separate files so that this kind of like definition here is not such a problem. Although yeah, we keep the accept current change, right? We don't want to remove these. Here we want both, I think, right? And then move things around. Where's it going to shove things? So we still have, oh, okay, our test runner is still at the end. We're going to have our new stuff here. Okay, this is pretty interesting. Time slots are the last thing that we're doing, which is wrong. We need our time slots to be just in front of our... They should be somewhere in the middle here, right? There were... Anyway, so there's no way Git would know, because this is a really old... yeah, it wouldn't know which part we're working on. So there's this... I mean, unless you write a merge driver that really examines the... I mean, it's actually possible to do this. I mean, how you would do this is you would write a git merge driver that would examine your event model, and from what it saw in the event model, it would say, okay, I see the conflict is that I don't have things in the right order. I'm going to put this thing you're merging in to where the event model says to merge it. So, but anyway, that's only if you're doing this, you know, putting everything in one file, which I don't think we will be doing going forward. But, and of course, depending on framework and stacks that you're using, you're going to have your own things to deal with as to how you merge stuff. So we need to accept both changes and then make sense of things. So one of the first things we want to do, of course, is okay, the processors is fixed. That was the one I was worried about. That's done. Now we can get all of these things shrunk. Like setting dates, etc. Getting the rooms. And the time slots. Okay, so now we get to the time slots. And that's the initial one that we had. That was a marker. Remember, we really don't want this one. This is the dead one. So I want to kind of keep it here as a marker. and keep shrinking things until we get to the part we added. Notice this is now part of the test, so we have to actually bring this back down to where the rest of the tests are, unless the other part has another assert function. But here we have the time slots, so we're going to cut all this. First of all, I really don't like that extra line there. So we're going to get all this time slot stuff and put it to where it should live. Time slots save. Notice, okay, so this one still exists here. It got grouped with the rest of it, so we can delete the one up there. So let's take all of our time slot stuff and just cut it. Now you notice we have two of these asserts, so yeah, we can get rid of that. And we have nothing else after. That's good, that merged correctly. These aren't highlighted anymore because I just cut the code that used these, right? Or did I? Oh, wait a second. Where is... Ah, yes, I did. Yeah, because that code is only used in the actual test functions, which are cut right now. So, so we go back up to where we have our time slots, the get stuff, right? So that's our marker, and we paste in the state view, the post, all the tests, how we add that, and this is the conflict here that, you know, we have this default one that we had which did nothing, and now we actually have our proper fold over our events to show stuff, right? So you can get rid of that and clean things up a bit more from extra extra white space. And then of course, before we, like the mistake I made the other day is getting ahead of myself and not testing everything before committing a merge conflict resolution. So here we can do node tests, so we can see if all our tests at least pass. And they do, which is great. Even with this time slot change, state change, right? These are using those new asserts, which is great. They seem to be functioning just fine. And now we can add, I mean, we can clear all these and test whether things work or not, or we can just click on some of these links and kind of be confident that it works, but yeah, maybe we should run through it. Okay, so let's just first see if we see the time slots correctly. Yeah, we still have them. Notice that we didn't, like, this is part of the good ignore, so we keep carrying our events with us, just like you would. You know, you're connecting to a dev database, you'd still have the same records that your code would be accessing. This is just files, so same thing, but it's not part of the source code. Fake events we do have because we do, you know, we could have had some fake events for this, for the testing, just to be able to show some events, maybe show some time slots added if we just wanted to go to that thing. We probably will add them. I usually add fake events when we're doing state views. As you can see, these are for SV, for state views. So if once we get to the next one here, I think I'll add some fake events so that if you have that slice that you're working only on the state view of that page, in other words, getting the app get for that URL, you'll be able to fully test that with some data that kind of is artificially generated for you for this part. Anyway, let's see what we have here. So everything works here. That seemed to work. Let's just do a check if we can rename another name. Continue. It seems to be going here. Good. I gotta get rid of this like barfing of this extra history and stuff, but I guess it's okay for now. Yeah. Event name is another name. Continue. Do some dates like the 14th to the 15th. That looks great. Another event added. Continue. We already have these. Let's add a CS400. Add. Seems to work. Yep. If we refresh the page, seems to get the same thing. Continue. Continue. Oh, that's odd. So our continue. Something's odd here. We only have, oh, this is time slots. Okay. Set dates. That's fine. So everything's good here. Yeah, this continue doesn't work. What I was looking at was these room names. So yeah, I can still add more. And that should be, yeah, it works. And continue, we get to here and we can still add other stuff. So yeah, we're done. I think that's another slice, another day done, and we answered a question from the community. So good stuff, everyone. It's 11 o'clock here, so I think it's time to finish the stream. I guess this is whoever was in Europe and was awake early enough saw it. And again, the question was on our Discord channel here. So, you know, if you have other questions, yeah, this one was, who was it by? M. Why is this M dot dot? I think it's truncated because I'm streaming. I don't know, I forgot. There's some weird setting for this where it truncates people's names for a live stream. So anyway, but yeah, if you've got questions about event modeling or event sourcing, this was a good one. We answered earlier, and now we got this going. Oh, actually, we're kind of not done. We want to commit this, so git status. We want to continue, actually add this, so git add, and then we want to do app.js and git status, and then of course we want to do git merge continue, and this will record this as a resolved conflict. So good. We push this up. That's our integration branch. So that's where we make sure everything works together. I am finished that feature, so I'm going to also merge it to the QA, which is our staging or release candidate branch, where people can actually use this as a whole product. Again, realistically, we wouldn't be merging to QA all the time. We'd be doing that only with, well, I mean, we would be, every time we're done with a feature, we would be merging it to QA, but we wouldn't necessarily be pushing that to production. We would kind of wait until we have a set of features that we want to push to production. So, I mean, unless you really want every feature right away, up to you, depending again how big these features are. In this case, because we're working with workflow steps, you're probably going to want a few of these workflow steps that are committed as slices to be there in QA together before you push. So, but you have control of that. So again, the QA branch is composable. If you want to leave some out that are not ready, you don't want that part of the workflow exposed to the public, leave it out, don't merge it in, reset that branch, merge whatever you want, and then push that out once you create what you want from work that's finished. So yeah, git checkout. Now we need BPF QA, and then we can do the same merge. So I can type merge and go up arrow and find the slice that we did. Which is interesting that we got. Oh yeah, so we do. So the automatic merge failed, but we did find a fix for that failure with our recorded resolution. Again, I talked about how this is kind of in the wrong order in the last stream. So anyway, let's do git status and notice that it's everything's committed. I mean, not committed, but staged, meaning that there are no conflicts to resolve. And so we can basically continue with that. I'm kind of wondering if why re won't oh god, why does it go to the top? Why re will not finish the merge as if it was able to automatic merge, right? If I have a previous resolution, why is that actually applied and I have no more conflicts? I would kind of expect that the merge would continue as if I had no conflicts. I'm kind of curious if Git actually added this type of functionality in the recent versions. I haven't really been well, what is going on here? Why is that? Get rid of that. Is there a way to get to merge completely if re was applied and treat the merge as if automatic merge did not fail? I don't think this is answering my question. That's pretty esoteric, so I'm quite kind of I'd be surprised if it gave me an answer, but it doesn't hurt. Yeah, I really don't care. Merges are local, so even if it does the full commit and everything else behind it, I don't care. I would still test it, so who cares? It's local. No one else is looking at it except me, or a build server is looking at its own build. Whatever. Anyway. With this setting, Git will automatically, okay. So, and Git not only automatically stage the files that were resolved, but also continue with the commit if no other conflicts exist. I don't think it knows what I'm talking about. It looks like it's talking about fast forwards and out of stash. What? Enable automatic continuation of merges when conflicts are resolved. Merge fast forward? I don't know. An auto stash? Why would auto stash be needed? Okay, I gotta dig into that another day. Going down a rabbit hole. I know that every time I've been using Git and resolving resolutions automatically, I still had to do this last step manually. So whatever. Git status, we have that, so I can just do a git commit. And that's fine. So now we have the QA branch. So that's committed. So now git push. And that's it. I think we can now mark our slice is done. At least one slice. Yeah, I guess because I answered the question, the stream's been going on for a while, so I want to not I don't want to continue with a stream for even another hour or half an hour because of that. So I'll finish this slice and we'll continue on. The state view one is already done, so it should be just quick. It should be another, yeah. So the next stream should be a little bit quicker to get rid of this last one here. So let's go to progress. Zoom in here. Let's mark that as done. And click on here, make sure that that's our ugly green. And that our text is our ugly green as well. And so now we see that we're done all the way to adding time slots. I am not going to, yeah, this last part here is going to be the handover to the interesting processor, which will be kind of cool because we have our regular workflow just going from page to page, user interactions, and then we're jumping into the processor to some of the automation. So this will be kind of cool because I think the next live stream will be able to go all the way through creating the conference and then jumping over to this automation part. And then probably the stream after that will jump into the participant section, and then we'll start to refine this whole solution because we'll be able to get the logistics of like just getting the thing running, and then we'll harden it with some cool stuff like I don't know, something that will actually, like, we'll be able to deploy this and even charge money for hosting it so that people that want to run these conferences, they can use it. That's the goal of this. And then people can say that they have like a event sourced project that they can show that, you know, this is how it works. This is how it's performant. This is how you manage, you know, indexing all your events and things like that, so you don't have slow performance by iterating over everything and so on. So let's keep that going. It's a lot of fun working with this, and hopefully you had fun with me doing this. Let's commit this update to our progress, because now this is done, and we clearly see the next piece that's missing here is this one, and you can see we have a whole bunch of stuff that's sort of done. I'm not sure why I left it as in progress. I guess once I'm happy that we have a URL, and I'll mark these all as yellow, or sorry, all as green and passing later. I'm glad we got some better testing in here. And yeah, so let's see. Okay, time to mark this and get going. So CD, we go back to this and we say that Finished. Add time slice. Add time slot. State change. Slice. I think that's it. I don't want to make a comment about test run or anything like that in here. I think that's pretty good. So again, this is not saved. I have to do this, and then it saves. Just changing to the terminal doesn't save the draw.io. It does the source code files. It somehow doesn't do it for this add-in. So, but anyway, there we go. So that's all done, and it's pushed up. So if you want to look at it, here's the GitHub URL, and you can check it out and follow along. Do some pull requests, whatever you want. I think I have a pull request. We'll check that again tomorrow, maybe, to see if we have some contributions. I think there might have been more. It might be for eventmodeling.org, maybe. But anyway, that's it for me. I will now go to sleep. So see you next time. Thank you so much.